Hello, it's coming up to the end of November now and there's still lots to do. It's very drizzly outside, so I thought I would hide in the greenhouse and do lots of stuff in here. Now, I haven't got anything to sow, but what I am going to do today is I'm going to do some propagating. Now, flowers and plants most of them just keep giving and giving. So what I'm going to propagate first of all are some sweet scented geraniums, and I will show you how to do those. They're very, very easy to do. It doesn't really take a huge amount of knowledge to know how to do it, but once you know how to do it, you'll go, oh, is that it? That's really easy. So I'll show you how to do those, and then we can propagate some of the strawberries, because the main plant of the strawberry gave off lots and lots of babies, and I'm sorting those out all on the fruit bed, and a lot of them have come over and down, and I need to sort those out as well. If I get a chance to do anything else, then we will do it, and it depends on the light and it depends on the rain, because I have got one other thing to do outside, but fingers crossed, we'll see. So first of all, we will start with the sweet scented geraniums. Now, there are lots of different types of geraniums. Some are planted outside and you keep them outside all the time. They're very, very hardy. They don't mind the cold weather. Now, those ones, what you will find with them is you can just sort of pull a section off, trim the leaves down and dunk it in the ground, and it will grow. It will sort itself out. What I would suggest you do, if you do have any geraniums at this time of year, just give them a really good haircut. So get your scissors or your secateurs, whatever you like to use, and just cut them right back so that all you can see is about 2 inches of the leaf stems, okay? And clear out any old leaves that are down there. But these sweet scented geraniums, they are not completely hardy, they are partially hardy, so they can go outside when it's warmer, so sort of from about spring all the way, late spring all the way through till about early autumn, and then they have to spend the colder months in the greenhouse. They'll be absolutely fine. So bear with me, I'm just going to go down here and I will come up again. See, told you. Now, this is one of my geraniums. You can see that there are some old leaves on here which we will just take off. And I have started to do, let's put those there. I have started to propagate a load of these, and that is what I've ended up with. Don't worry, it will grow back again, okay? It looks quite harsh, but it will be absolutely fine. I will show you how to do some of the other stems, and what we're going to end up with are these, okay? These are just the little bits of stem, and they will grow. You would most probably, if you have say a tray of 15, you'll most probably find that about 13 or 14 will take. Okay, so it's quite, a high percentage of ones that will take. So let me show you how I'm going to take cuttings of my sweet scented geraniums and pop them so that they look like this. Here I've got my geranium, I've moved it up. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just follow the stem up. Let's take this little one here to start with. We've got a stem that comes all the way up here. So what I'm going to do is, if you follow it from the bottom, and there are lots of little nodules, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a few of those, and then I'm just going to cut above one of these little nodules here. If you run your finger up, you can feel it gets bumpy. So there's one bump, there's another bump, and there's another bump. Okay, you can either leave 2 or 3. So I'm going to cut off there. Okay, so what I am left with, let's move that old leaf out, is just this little cutting here. Now, when you take a cutting of a geranium, you need to have one cutting below a little nodule and one cutting above. Now it doesn't have to be, let me hold it at the top and then you can see it. There's a little nodule here. You can feel it's a rough little bit. It goes out, feels a little bit sort of pointy. So there's one there, and then we've got another one. There's a leaf that comes out here. Where a leaf comes out, that's usually where another little nodule is. Now if I did it down here where there's another one, it would actually be too short. So I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. So I'm going to go above there. Okay, so you need one cut below a nodule and one cut above a nodule, just like that. Snip it off like that. So this is now our cutting. What we're going to do now is to just give the plant so that it can put all its energy into growing, is we're going to cut these leaves off. 1, 2, okay, just like that. And all you're left with basically is a stick. Now what you do with that stick is you get a little pot, fill it with multi-purpose compost, and you push your stick in just like that. That's all you have to do. Okay, I told you it was easy. That's all you have to do. When you filled up your tray, then you give them a really good water, and let the water, if you've got a tray, water in the tray so that the compost soaks up the water, and that way it will help the roots go down. Now for the first couple of weeks it won't look like anything is happening. If you find that this bit goes brown, it's died, then just throw it away. But what you are likely to find is that any leaves that are there, that leaf will start to grow a lot more. Can you see that? There's a tiny little leaf there. Okay, and then other leaves will start to grow out from here. All right, so in a couple of weeks you will start to see some growth. So let me just run through that once more. Now we've got the rest of this bit that I cut that bit off of, so I'm going to use that. So we've got a bumpy bit here, and then actually I've got a bumpy bit here, and there's quite a lot here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to snip above the bumpy bit, take the leaves off, and that one. Okay, and all I'm left with is a stick, multi-purpose compost in a pot, pop it in like that. Okay, just like that. All right, so I will carry on and do all these geraniums, and what I will, this plant here will end up, all these bits will be off and it will just look like sticks, but this will stay in the greenhouse and it will grow slowly over the winter. But when the spring comes and the nice warm weather starts again, then it will start to come back into life again. So that's the geraniums. Now let's move on to the strawberries. Now my strawberries have been growing absolutely brilliantly. They're all up here on the bed, and they actually came over and have actually started to root themselves in the wood chips down here. Now I don't want them down here. What I want to do is I want to pot them up, and then I want to fill any spaces that I've got in the bed with them. But what I'm going to do is, first of all, is I'm going to dig them up. Now you can see most of them will actually have some lovely little roots on them now. Some of their roots will be bigger, but they just look like this. Can you see them there? Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I won't do them one at a time because that's just silly, is I'm going to dig up a few. You might need to be quite rough with these because they've embedded themselves very well into the ground. They're very naughty. That's the thing, is when you buy strawberry plants you only really need to buy about 6 to start with, and you won't get many strawberries that first year, but then it will send off all their little babies, and then you'll end up with loads the following year. So they could send off about, you might get at least a dozen babies from each plant. So just bear that in mind, that they do take up quite a bit of space. So I will just take a few, and then we will go back in the greenhouse and I will show you how I sort these out. Before we start planting them, what we want to do is we want to get them all ready, because it's always good. You tend to work quicker if you do one step first. So what I will do is I will separate all of these out, get rid of any leaves that have gone brown, just trim them right down so they're all ready. Once I've done that with the little group I've got here, then I'll pot them up and then I will move them all over, and doing it that way just, I find, works quicker. So I have got two little strawberry plants here. There's one there and there's one there. They've both got really good roots on them, but I want to separate these. So all I'm going to do, this is, I really need an extra hand here. This is the runner that joins them together. Okay, and I just want to remove that. So all you need to do is either get a pair of scissors or a pair of secateurs, and you just cut the plant off, just like that. So it's separate, it's all on its own. So that's one done. And then we will cut this one as well. Sometimes it's actually difficult to know what is the joining stem and what is a leaf stem. To be honest with you, if you cut a leaf stem, it doesn't matter, leaves will grow back. Okay, so don't worry about it, don't stress about it. Okay, so I'm going to cut all of these little bits off here. Oops, I don't want to cut my fingers. Okay, and there's another one. I know it looks quite small and it looks quite sort of, you're going to, oh, it's not going to grow. But if we look down here, we've got lots more leaves growing in here. Okay, what you will find is that your strawberries they'll slow down a huge amount over the winter. Okay, you could, if you wanted to, just plonk this in a space in your fruit bed or wherever you want to grow some new ones. It will grow absolutely well, perfectly well. But what I'm going to do, because the ones that grow really, really well, I am then going to sell those when I do book events. Somebody said to me, "Are you opening a garden centre, Claire?" I said, no. So that's my theory. Okay, as I'm not putting them to waste. So there's that one. So I'll just show you one where the leaves aren't brilliant, she says, trying to find one. There it is, there's one. All right. Okay, so if we look at this one here, that leaf there's gone a little bit yellow, so we'll just nip that off. We'll nip the joining stem off there. Oh, there's another joining stem there. We'll take that off, and there's a couple of big leaves there which we'll just take off anyway. Okay, now this one has got smaller roots. Okay, it's got the starting bit of the roots here, which is fine, absolutely fine, so that will be okay. Oh look, there's another brown leaf there, we'll just take that off. Okay, so that one's all ready to go in. So when you've got your strawberries all ready, all you need to do is to get a pot, multi-purpose compost, make a hole in the middle with your finger, just like that, just there. Okay, and then lift that up. You need to put your strawberry in. Now you need to gather up all the leaves together, and strawberries don't like to be planted too shallow or too deep. They like to be planted just right. Okay, so what you want to make sure is that all the roots are underneath the soil, and a little bit of this section here that that joins the roots at the base of the plant, that's called the crown. You can put half of that underneath the soil, but the rest needs to be above. Okay, so just pop it in just like that, gently move it round. And there it's done. Okay, once you've done a whole tray, then just give them a really good water, and in about a month's time you should have something that looks like this. Okay, here's one I made earlier, and we've got the roots starting to come through on the bottom, and you can see, I think I most probably cut most of these leaves off. They've all started to grow back. We've got loads more leaves starting to come here as well. All right, so it's very, very happy. If I took it out of its pot, you can actually feel when I'm taking it out of its pot that it's starting to feel nice and firm. And there, we've got some lovely roots coming in and around. So if you wanted to put that in the garden, or if somebody wanted to put that in the garden, then it will be absolutely fine. So what I will do is I will carry on, and I will do all, well, as many as I can, as I've shown you. Okay, and they will, all of those will stay in the greenhouse. But as it's stopped raining, I think we can pop outside, and I've got the last of the garlic that I want to show you how I'm going to sow that. Out here, what I have done is I've planted most of my garlic. So you'll get the garlic bulb, break it up into little cloves, and just make sure, just gently squeeze the cloves just to make sure that they're not soft. If any of them are soft, then they're starting to rot and they won't grow, so discard those. Any that are nice and firm, you need to plant out. So I have planted all of mine but 2 little cloves, which I want to show you. So here are my 2 cloves. Let me show them to you just a little bit closer. Okay, so here we have them. Okay, I've separated those from the bulb. I've leave all the papery skin on, and if you look at the bulb, at the clove, there's a really rough bit down the bottom here. That's where the roots will come out, so that needs to be down, and then you've got the pointy bit up here, which obviously needs to go at the top. So let me show you how to plant them out in the soil. What I have done is I've got 1, 2, 3 and 3/4 of a row. And all I've done is this is just in one of my raised beds, just raked the soil, just made sure that there's no weeds in there, and it's all sorted. If you've got more than one row, you need to put them about 4 inches, 4 or 5 inches apart from each other, and then you need to plant your little cloves again about 4 or 5 inches apart from each other. I've made 2 little holes here because that's where I want to put them, and all you need to do is you get your clove and you make sure that the rough section where the roots come goes down and the pointy bit is pointing up, and you just pop it in the soil, push it down a little bit so that it's about 2 inches in the soil, and there's about 1 inch of soil above the top of the garlic clove. And all you need to do is just cover it up like that. And I've got these new lovely labels which I'm so pleased with. There we are, and it says garlic on there, so I'm going to pop that in there, and then I know that my garlic is in there. Let's pop it, let's put it there. Okay, so that's all my garlic now, all planted. The garlic I have just planted is autumn planting garlic. There is also spring planting garlic, and so therefore, depending on which one you get, the autumn planting has to be planted in the autumn and the spring has to be planted in the spring. I usually, before we moved here, I had always done spring planting garlic because I found that the autumn planting didn't last in the allotment. But since we moved here, last year I actually planted autumn planting garlic, and it was absolutely amazing. Huge big bulbs, really pleased. Obviously you've got some small ones, but it was so much larger. Now garlic does need to have the cold weather to help it split and then form the bulb, which helps it form the bulb. So from now on I will sow autumn planting garlic, just because for me it works better, but whatever works for you. If you're doing spring planting garlic, then that needs to go in about early February if you can, if the gardens or the soil isn't frozen, and then it can still get some nice cold weather to help it split and then form into a bulb. So it's up to you, but you sow it and you plant it in exactly the same way. So this will lie dormant for quite a lot of the time, most probably until March time. I'll start to see little sprouts coming up through the soil, but hopefully that will be fine. The reason it's in the cage is no reason whatsoever. It's just because I moved the cages and this is where I put them, because this bed is now clear. But I will move this cage over somewhere else. Mine doesn't have to be in a cage to protect it from the local wildlife, but if you find that you need to protect yours, maybe put some chicken wire, very small hold chicken wire over, just to protect it, to stop certain wildlife digging up your clothes. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in the greenhouse and I will carry on doing the strawberries and the geraniums, and I think that will most probably be it for the rest of the day. Well, I hope you found what I've shown you useful, and even though it is the end of November, or very nearly the end of November, there's still plenty to do in the garden. Get tidying, get sorting, get your plot or your beds all ready for the winter, and then they can all have a lovely rest before they have to start again in the spring. Bye-bye.